The day my boss asked me to pretend to be her husband for 1 year was the same day I realized my life had completely fallen apart. I did not walk into that office expecting a deal that would either save me or destroy me. I walked in thinking I was about to get fired. My name is Adam Bennett. I am 28 years old, born and raised in a dry little town in Texas, where dreams usually end at the city limit sign. 5 years ago, I packed everything I owned into my old car and drove to Denver, telling myself I was going to build a better life. I ended up as a junior copywriter at Sterling Marketing Solutions. A decent job on paper, but nothing special in real life. I spent my days stuck in a gray cubicle, writing taglines people forgot the moment they scrolled past them. Same faded shirts, same cheap coffee from the lobby machine, same crowded train rides where no one looked at anyone else. Back home, my friends used to laugh and call me Safe Adam, the guy who never took risks. I could not argue with that. My life had turned into survival mode. I lived in a cramped one-bedroom apartment in a rough part of Capitol Hill. Dinner was usually a burrito eaten straight from the foil. Every extra dollar I had went back to Texas to help my mom. My dad had been a mechanic his whole life. Strong hands, tired eyes, always smelling like oil. Last year, lung cancer took him fast. The treatments wiped out everything we had saved. Even after he passed, the bills kept coming like a punishment that never ended. I maxed out credit cards, took loans I could not afford, and buried myself under more than $50,000 of debt just to keep my mom from losing the house. Then the eviction notice showed up, 3 months behind on rent. No more extensions. I tried everything. Freelance writing at night, selling my old camera, asking old friends for help. All I got were polite excuses and silence. At night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long before I would be sleeping on someone's couch or driving back to Texas with nothing to show for 5 years of effort. That Monday morning, I was already exhausted when I opened my inbox and saw reminder after reminder. Hospital bills, credit cards, final notices. My head was pounding when a short email appeared. Meet me in my office, 9 a.m. sharp. It was from Luna Sterling. Luna was my direct boss and the vice president of the company. She was 42, always dressed perfectly, always calm, always untouchable. People called her the Ice Queen behind her back. The Sterling family owned the company, and everyone knew her brother Derek was waiting for her to fail so he could take her place. At exactly 9, I knocked on her office door on the 36th floor. Glass walls, a view of the mountains, power in every detail. She told me to sit without looking up. Then she slid a thick folder across the desk. Open it. Inside was my entire life. My debt, my dad's medical bills, my eviction notice, my credit report. I felt sick. She told me calmly that I was in free fall and would not last another month. I asked why she was telling me this. She did not hesitate. She said she needed a husband. For 1 year, her family trust required her to be married to keep control of the company. If she failed, everything went to Derek. She refused to let that happen. If I agreed, she would erase all my debt. Every dollar. She would handle my rent, my bills, everything. And at the end of the year, I would walk away with $100,000. No emotions, no future promises, just a contract. I thought she was joking. She was not. That night, I walked around my apartment surrounded by half-packed boxes and unpaid bills. Pride told me to walk away. Reality told me I had no other option. The next morning, I signed. By that evening, I was standing in her penthouse holding 2 suitcases and a binder that explained how to pretend to be her husband, where to stand, what to say, how to touch her in public. Nothing more. She pointed down the hall. Your room is the second door on the left. I hesitated, then asked the one question I could not ignore. Do we have to sleep in the same bed? She looked at me for a long moment, her face unreadable, and that was when I realized this year was going to change everything. The first few weeks of living with Luna felt like walking through someone else's life while wearing their clothes. Everything around me was clean, expensive, and perfectly controlled, but none of it felt warm. The penthouse was quiet in a way that made my thoughts louder. No neighbors arguing. No traffic noise, just the soft hum of machines and the city glowing outside the windows. Luna ran her life like a business schedule. She was up before sunrise, already dressed in sharp suits, coffee black, eyes focused on her tablet. She barely spoke in the mornings beyond necessary reminders. Smile at the gala tonight. Stand at my right. Answer questions briefly. Stick to the Aspen story. By the time I finished breakfast, she was usually gone. I kept my job at the company, which made everything more awkward. Overnight, I went from invisible copywriter to the boss's husband. People stared. Whispers followed me through the hallways. Some looked curious. Others looked annoyed. A few looked jealous. No one said anything to my face. But I felt like a fraud walking past their desks. Our first public appearance came fast. A company gala at a luxury hotel downtown. Luna had a tailored suit delivered for me that fit perfectly. Too perfectly. I barely recognized myself in the mirror. When we arrived, cameras flashed and people crowded around us. Luna slipped her arm through mine like it was natural. Her hand rested lightly on my arm, practiced and controlled. We smiled. We laughed at the right moments. We told the same fake story over and over. Aspen, charity gala, spilled drinks, Vegas elopement. People ate it up. To them, we were power and romance wrapped together. That night, I met Derek for the first time. He shook my hand too hard and smiled like he was already planning something. He asked questions that sounded friendly but felt sharp. Where did you meet my sister again? How long have you known her? You must be special if she chose you. Luna's grip on my arm tightened every time he spoke. Back at the penthouse, she poured herself a drink and told me Derek was dangerous. Always watching. Always waiting. She told me to stick to the script no matter what. Then she disappeared into her room and closed the door. That was how most nights went. Separate rooms, separate lives, silence. But cracks started to form. One night, I walked into the kitchen late and found Luna sitting at the island, her heels kicked off, her head resting in her hands. Her laptop was open, spreadsheets covering the screen. She looked tired. Not powerful, just human. I poured a glass of water and set it beside her without saying anything. She looked up, surprised. Then she nodded once and took a sip. No, thank you. But she did not push it away either. After that, small moments kept happening. Short conversations over coffee. Comments about work. Shared frustration. One night, she asked about Texas. About my mom. About my dad. I told her stories I had not told anyone in a long time. She listened without interrupting. Slowly, she started sharing too. Growing up in a family where love was earned, not given. A father who believed weakness was failure. A brother who competed instead of cared. She said being soft had never been an option for her. Living together made the pretending harder and easier at the same time. In public, we were perfect. At home, the rules blurred. We cooked together sometimes, ate on the couch, watched the news in silence. The penthouse began to feel less cold. Then came the family estate. Luna told me it was necessary. A weekend retreat disguised as business. Derek would be there. Board members too. We needed to be convincing. The estate was massive. Stone walls. Manicured lawns. A place built to impress and intimidate. Naturally, we were given one room. One bed. That night, after a tense dinner filled with sharp questions and fake smiles, Luna paced the room like a trapped animal. She said Derek was onto us. That he had been asking the lawyer too many questions. I tried to calm her down. Told her we had this under control. But then she stopped pacing and looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. What if this falls apart? She asked quietly. I did not plan to touch her. It just happened. I stepped forward and pulled her into a hug. She froze for a second, then leaned into me like she had been holding her breath for years. She kissed me first. It was not planned. It was not careful. It was real. We crossed a line that night, and neither of us pretended it was part of the contract. The next morning, her phone buzzed. Photos. Grainy, dark images of us together from the night before. Someone had been watching. Luna's face drained of color. Derek, she said. Fear filled the room, but something else was there too. Resolve. She looked at me and said she did not regret what happened. Neither did I. That was the moment everything changed. After the photos surfaced, fear followed us back to Denver like a shadow that refused to let go. Derek did not confront us right away. That was the worst part. He waited. He watched, and Luna unraveled slowly under the pressure. She started coming home earlier, but not to rest. She paced the penthouse, phone glued to her hand, answering emails late into the night. Meetings piled up. Lawyers were consulted quietly. Every smile she wore in public felt thinner than the last. I could see the weight crushing her, even when she tried to hide it behind sharp words and perfect posture. What surprised both of us was how close we had become without meaning to. We stopped eating in silence. We cooked together, simple meals that reminded me of home. Pasta. Grilled sandwiches. Nothing fancy. We talked while we chopped vegetables, about work, about mistakes, about things we never admitted out loud before. One night, she finally broke. She stood in the kitchen holding her phone, her hands shaking, tears slipping down her face before she could stop them. She said she was tired of fighting alone. Tired of proving she deserved everything she had earned. Tired of being strong all the time. I held her while she cried. No contract, no pretending. Just two people holding each other because the world was too heavy. From that moment on, something shifted. We were still careful in public, still played our roles, but behind closed doors, the walls came down. She started wearing comfortable clothes at home. She laughed more. I started believing I was more than a temporary solution. Then the threat became real. Anonymous emails arrived with attachments, copies of the contract, my debt records, messages warning Luna that the board would find out everything during the next quarterly meeting. Derek was building his case, piece by piece. The meeting date was set for Friday morning. The night before, neither of us slept. Luna sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, her shoulders tense. She said if she lost the company, everything she had sacrificed would be for nothing. I told her that whatever happened, I was not leaving. Not after everything we had shared. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and whispered that she was scared of losing me more than the company. Friday came too fast. The boardroom was filled with people who looked powerful and untouchable. Derek sat at the head of the table, calm and confident. When it was his turn to speak, he did not waste time. He laid everything out. The contract, the money, the photos. He called it fraud. He called me a paid actor. The room buzzed with shock and judgment. Luna stood up. She admitted the truth about the contract, about why she did it, about the pressure, about her fear of losing control to someone who wanted to destroy everything she had built. Then she did something no one expected. She reached for my hand. She said it stopped being fake. She said she found something real when she stopped pretending to be untouchable. She said she found a partner. I stood too. I told them why I signed. I told them about my father, my debt, my fear. And then I said the words that changed everything. I said I loved her. Not the title, not the power. Just her. The room went silent. Then her mother stood up. She said she knew about the contract from the beginning. She said Derek's actions were shameful. Cameras, spying, manipulation. She said that was not leadership. The vote happened quickly after that. Derek lost. He was removed from his position and stripped of influence. Luna kept her role. The board sided with her. When the meeting ended, Luna collapsed into my arms in the elevator, shaking with relief. She said she was done hiding, done pretending. The contract no longer mattered. What mattered was us. And for the first time, the future felt real. When the board meeting ended, it felt like the longest year of my life had finally exhaled. The contract that once controlled everything quietly expired, but by then it meant nothing. Luna and I were no longer bound by fear, money, or pretending. We stayed because we wanted to. The penthouse that once felt cold and distant suddenly felt wrong for who we had become. Within a month, Luna sold it. We moved into a small house in the suburbs of Denver, nothing fancy, just a warm place with creaky floors, sunlight through the windows, and a porch that wrapped around the front. It felt alive, like a place meant for real people, not appearances. Life slowed down in the best way. Luna stopped living at the office. She still worked hard, but she learned to leave work behind. I found a new job at a smaller agency where I was valued for my ideas, not my title. I walked into work with confidence I never had before, not because my debts were gone, but because I finally believed I deserved more. Evenings became our favorite time. We cooked together, laughed at burned meals, and talked about everything we had never allowed ourselves to want. She started a small garden in the backyard. I helped, even though I had no idea what I was doing. Dirt under her nails made her smile in a way no boardroom ever did. Our wedding was nothing like the fake one we sold to the world. It was small. A fall afternoon. String lights in the backyard. My mom flew in from Texas, tears in her eyes as she hugged Luna like she had always been part of the family. Luna's mother sat in the front row, smiling with quiet pride. No scripts, no cameras, no contracts. When Luna looked at me and said she chose me, not out of need but out of love, I felt something settle inside my chest, like I had finally come home. Marriage was not perfect. We argued. Old habits surfaced. Luna struggled with letting go of control. I struggled with feeling like I was enough. But we learned to talk instead of retreat, to sit on the porch late at night and face the hard truths together. Some nights we talked about my dad, other nights about her childhood, about the pain we carried, about the future we wanted to build. One evening, as rain tapped softly against the roof, Luna asked me if I would sign that contract again, knowing everything it put us through. I looked at her, at the woman who once terrified an entire office and now laughed in our kitchen wearing old sweats. I told her yes. I would sign it 1,000 times if it meant finding her. Because what started as pretending became the most honest thing either of us had ever done. And for the first time in my life, I was not surviving anymore. I was chosen, and I chose her.